Good afternoon, Gun Brothers Gaming. This is Mounty Curl for another awesome episode of The Division. Today we will be talking loadouts and how to get your DPS and health stats all in balance, as well as a few other things. So let's get going. Alright agents, welcome to the Mounty layer. It is our gun range, and the first thing we're going to do is open up our weapons tab and look at our primary weapon, which is the Vector Shock Surprise. A lot of people are using it. We have 11.9k damage, 959 RPM, and a 40 round mag. We're also using the Talent Brutal, which allows us 24% to headshots. This Vector, however, is very special. It's got 25% to a critical shot rating, and it also has Vicious, which increases the critical chance to 13% when you're hitting at full health. We also have a magazine on it, 102% with a 27.5% rate of fire, which increases the DPS significantly. More bullets, more damage. Easy to see. Accuracy, headshot damage also increased because of the Brutal perk. Why not increase the headshot if you have a Brutal perk? Let's go ahead and open up the gun range, and we'll take our safeties off and show you how this fires. Alright, so we're going to take a safety off and pop some shots into this dummy here. You'll notice that we're hitting for about 12,000 and 25,000 rounded respectively to the body. And we're going to go ahead and switch it up to the head and right now. And you'll notice that because of the Brutal perk, we're hitting for 25,000 and 53,000 respectively due to the critical hit chance and the bonuses that we have put on the weapon. That is a significant amount of damage being dealt right there. It will take down level 30 within a few shots, and a level 32 it takes about a clip to get down, and we're not talking about the level 32s that you're seeing out on the street. We're talking about Dark Zone level 32s. So let's go ahead and move to the next station. We'll pop a few shots off in the body to get you, and you'll notice there's about 1,000 to 2,000 point damage drop off to this. And we'll do some headshots, and it's a little bit less for this one, or actually a little bit more. It's about a 10,000 drop off to our critical, and let's go ahead and we'll move back, and you'll notice a significant drop off at this range, but it's still doing a pretty significant amount of damage at 7,500. You're not going to be killing rogues or anything like that at that distance, but at this distance right here, you are pretty much melting faces off. And I'll give you an example. Here's my M1A, and we're doing about 45,000 here to the body and 81,000 damage. And let's go ahead, reload, and we'll go ahead and switch back and pop some more shots off. 53,000. You'll notice those orange numbers, those are my criticals, and they're popping very often. So the DPS output on this gun is just absolutely insane. The base on it, I rolled this Vector a lot to get it the way it is. It is 25%. So there you have it. That's my Vector, and in order to get it a good roll, you gotta keep making it. Go out there farming those supplies. So let's move on to the next part. Alright, so I'm going to show you really quickly just a few of my things. The primary DPS, 213,000. You'll notice that switches between 202 and 213 quite often. That's just because of some of the perks that I have. My M1A is 123,000. My Damascus is 61. Let's go ahead and look at the body armor, which is 1332, and it has the Reckless perk. You're going to want this. This is one of the best perks. It's got 13% increased damage, and it's going to negate the fact that you're increasing the damage taken by 10%, which right now is actually a lie. It actually negates the damage. So that talent right there is actually doing you 10% less damage to your body, even though what it says is 10% more. You're taking 10% less. And let's go ahead, and we're looking at the major attributes. You'll notice that I have it jacked up 563 on my stamina. This helps keep it balanced, exotic damage resistance, and some of the other things that I have on it. And the pulse duration, that's something that you'll want to get. I use the pulse with the critical hit chance increase, and it helps to increase the damage output, and keeping the pulse there is going to do it more. Let's look at the tactical mask right now. Rehabilitation, that's going to help keep you alive, at least in the interim until they patch it. You'll notice my insane stat on firearms at 708 and on stamina at 137. I rolled this several times to get the 2 mod slots, and so the mobile cover, I don't really use the mobile cover very often, but when I do, this saves me. You'll notice both of the mod slots contain skill power, and I actively chose that because if you look at my electronics, the 535 isn't a whole lot. I also keep backup masks as well in my inventory, just in case I need to swap it out and I need more damage or some other perk somewhere else. So it's definitely helping me out, but getting the electronic skills on that is more helpful than anything because it allows you to skip over putting too many things in electronics, and I don't think that there's really anything I have that is too heavy on electronics. So let's go ahead and look at the Spec Ops pad. This isn't really helping me out. I have so many credits right now that the headshot damage isn't really doing anything. I keep spare Spec Ops pads in there as well so that I can increase my firearms damage and basically just keep those stats open so that I can swap out and adjust my style of gameplay to what I'm actually doing at the time. And you'll notice that I have armor. Critical hit damage also increases my XP. You'll notice that's at 16%. Enemy armor damage, that helps you with destroying elites. The burn resistance you can't really change, so there's not really anything good that you can really swap that out for that you want to waste your Phoenix credits on recalibrating that. So let's go ahead and look at the backpack. You'll notice this is a massive backpack, 53 backpack capacity. It also has a plus 24 to capacity, which many people don't know, but I can carry about 65 things in my backpack right now. And this one here has the specialized talent. I don't need to tell you what that is because it's right there. It takes 13% of your primary DPS and 13% of your health and moves it over to skill power. Once again, moving stuff down the line and into skill power. This is helping me to keep so that I don't have to actually put stuff into electronics. It helps me to build my electronics without actually having to put any points into it, and it helps by increasing the skill power up. So that's that. The critical hit damage from the firearms mod also increases that. Let's go ahead and check out these gloves. They are gunslinger gloves. I have not seen anything like these before. It has the cunning talent, which isn't the best talent, but I have 573 stamina on this, which is too short of the massive amount of stamina you can have on it. And this is one of the only slots that you actually can't have a mod slot in. You'll notice critical hit chance, critical hit damage are both on here. This gun is made for people who like to shoot. That is that. Plain and simple. Now, there are better talents to have on your glove, and I'll show you. The Savage talent is the one that you want to have, but the Cunning one isn't that bad because it helps you out in several different places. So I keep this other pair of gloves, which is just general gloves, not Spec Ops gloves or anything like that. It's just gloves. So let's go ahead. We'll move on to the holster. And the holster is one of my favorites because it's the only one that has multiple slots in it. It's the only one that I did not craft. Everything else you see is craftable by the vendor. I bought all my blueprints from the vendor that's upstairs in the BOO, which is the base of operations. This one here I did not craft. I went to the Dark Zone, found it, and you'll notice that this is the only piece of equipment that you can get that has stats that spread across the entire spectrum. So you can get multiple stats into two. Right now, the hybrid holster is probably my best holster, but I want the massive amounts of firearm and stamina put in this, and the armor and all the other stuff that goes along with it, plus the pulse critical hit chance. That's also something that I want. So let me just show you really quickly the mods that I've put on my Vector. The Flash Hider, which is accuracy and critical hit damage, increasing those critical hits. That's important because you want to get your DPS as much as possible, and on the SMG with a 25% base hit chance of critical, this is going to help you to really step it up. So here's some primary attributes. We'll just go into these really quickly. I probably won't have a whole lot to talk about over them, but weapon damage, let's go ahead. The critical hit chance right now is 54%. That is half the time it's critical. So, and my critical hit damage is 110%. So that's massive. So half the time I'm hitting at 110% damage. That's 110%. 50% of the time, and headshot damage is 51%, which actually it's kind of more than that, but it's not a huge amount. So some of the stats, let me just talk about while I'm scrolling through this, but some of the items that you really want that are going to increase your DPS, which will increase your base damage on your gun. Accuracy and rate of fire are two things that will affect it the most. More bullets hitting your target. Those are two of the stats that I find that are really important to building up your DPS. It is an artificial DPS stat, but the fact that you're doing more damage means that you're going to kill the enemies faster, so take it with a grain of salt. Really what you want to be looking at is that DMG stat on your gun, which mine's at 11.9, and when you add in some of the perks and stuff, I can get mine up to almost 19,000 damage. So there's a good look at my stats right now, and sadly we are out of time for this episode. My next episode is going to be a very special one. It is basically titled The Anatomy of a Glitch. I am working on a glitch right now to increase your DPS. There are several of them involving the gun range where you can increase your DPS. It's not permanent yet, but I'm working on it right now and I need the community's help. I will put up a video and I'll put a link in the description and at the end of this video to kind of show you the steps as to how to begin it, and I'll show you the massive amount of DPS that you can get from it, and hopefully we can figure out as a community a way to make it permanent and go out there and just absolutely jack up our DPS and rip through people. Anyways, that's my time. I've been Mounty Carl. Stay tuned for a new episode of The Division soon, and I will catch you later. Mounty Carl out.